Last time out at Clay Pigeon, I broke two of my engines. One had a seize, one had a spark plug failure that damaged the piston. Now it's time to get them fixed, get them ready for next time we go out. So this is the engine that had the spark plug failure. As you can see, the top of the piston is very dented. But luckily, there doesn't appear to be any damage in the bore. We're going to check the bottom end of the engine, make sure there's no debris in the bottom end. And we're going to need to clean up the top of the cylinder head where it's got some dents as well. So let's take the piston out and then we can get going. So if we look at the piston a little bit closer, we can see where it's very indented. What that's done is around this area, it's trapped the piston ring, so the piston ring doesn't move anymore, and that is why we lost compression on this engine. You can see on the opposite side, the piston ring still moves nice and freely. So we're going to inspect the bottom of the engine, make sure there's no debris in the bottom of the engine, and then we can get on with seeing if the cylinder needs a hone. We'll do a quick measurement on that. If it needs a hone, we'll do so. If not, we'll give it a good clean. We'll fit the new piston, put it all back together. So I can't see any debris in the bottom end. I'm going to take the valve cover off so I can make sure there's no debris stuck within the valve area. It's very unlikely there would be, but let's have a check just to be safe. So to do that, I've got to remove the sprocket from the side of the engine here. So let's crack on with that. So now we've got the cover off, we'll take the valve off, just check the condition of the valve. Sometimes the valves can fail around the hex drive, cracks start to propagate from the corners, so we'll give that a good inspection, make sure the condition of that is good. We'll give it a wipe with a nice cloth, clean it up. It's always better to have something clean when you're inspecting it. So that looks good, we've got no concerns with that. We'll look inside, look at the general condition. We can see there's some marks just here, but if we actually run our finger over them, we can't feel those, so they're not any concern. So that all looks good, so we can put that back together. When we're at Clay Pigeon, we were running this in Formula Super A spec. We're going to run it next time out in Formula A spec for a retro racer event. So this engine, when I convert it from Formula Super A to Formula A or vice versa, I use a different rotary disc and I have a different rotary cover. That's because the Formula Super A carbs, they have a bigger inlet that bolts up to this, so this cover has been opened up to match the carburetor. Next time out we're going to be running a 24mm butterfly carburetor, so I'm going to put on one of these covers that has this diameter to match the carburetor that we'll be using next time out. I've changed the disc because last time out it was running in Formula Super A spec. Next time out I'm going to be running in Formula A spec, so I've got a different disc to put on, and I've got a different cover to put on because this cover is for Formula A spec, so this hole size is to suit the 24mm butterfly carburetor. The cover that I had on before, this hole was opened up to match the slide carburetor size, so I'm going to put this on now. So now that's back together, let's look at the cylinder bore and the piston size that we require. So I'll move this out of the way and we'll bring the cylinder in. So now if we bring the cylinder back in, we know what size piston was fitted to this previously from last time we rebuilt it. We can see that visually the bore is in good condition. So we have a piston of the size that we think we're going to need. So we'll get that out, and then using our micrometer we're going to measure the size of the piston. Now we know on the box what it's labelled as, however sometimes because of manufacturing tolerances the piston can be at the top end or the bottom end of the range of measurements, so we want to be as accurate as possible. So we're going to measure the piston with a micrometer, and then we're going to set our bore gauge to the same measurement, zeroed at the same measurement as the piston, and then we'll check the actual bore size. So let's measure the piston first. So now we know that this piston is in fact a 50.06. We're now going to put the bore gauge inside the micrometer. We're going to zero the gauge of the bore gauge when we're at the correct piston size, and then we're going to put the bore gauge inside the bore. That will give us the piston to bore clearance measurement, and then we know if we need to hone the cylinder to adjust or if we're good to put the piston straight in. So I'll go off the camera, I'll get this set to 0, and then we'll measure. So now this is set to 0 when it's the same size as the piston skirt. We're going to put this into the bore and we're going to have our measurements. To do this, we're going to rotate the cylinder so that we're measuring both across this way and across this way. We'll also do a few across in other directions to make sure that the bore is in fact concentric and not ovalized. So now that we know we're happy with this bore to piston clearance, we're going to get the piston ring. We're going to put the piston ring into the cylinder with the gap in the ring sitting where it would be when fitted to the piston. We're going to use the piston to push the ring down into the bore. That will square the ring up so that it's not sitting twisted within the bore. We're then going to take our feeler gauges and we're going to measure using the feeler gauges. If you don't know what feeler gauges are, these are precision measured thicknesses of shim material. Each one has its size written on for easy reference. We're going to check what the gap in the end of the piston ring is. If the gap is too small, then as the engine's running, the two ends of the piston ring will touch each other. The piston ring will then get stuck or caught and will then fail either the piston ring itself or cause a piston failure. If the gap is too big, then too much of the explosive gases that we want above the piston can pass through this gap and escape, and that loses us power. From experience, I know what the minimum gap I want for this is, and I know what the maximum gap I want for this is. We want to be somewhere in that range. So to do this, we get our feeler gauge, we put it down into the cylinder. We need to go between the two ends of the piston with it square up against the edge of the bore. So now that we know we're happy with the piston to bore clearance, we're happy with the piston ring gap, we can take the piston ring out. That can now be fitted onto the piston. We see here there's a little pin. That's where the gap in the piston ring needs to sit. So we'll put that on now. Now it's time to fit the piston back in to the engine. So we'll bring the engine bottom end back over, fit the piston onto that, and then we can refit the cylinder.